Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, our guest is Chip Bell. Chip is the author of 24 books. Chip's newest book, Inside Your Customer's Imagination, 5 Secrets to Creating Breakthrough Products, Services, and Solutions, is due out in the fall of 2020. He is also the author of bestsellers, The Kaleidoscope, Delivering Innovative Service That Sparkles, Sprinkles, Creating Awesome Experiences Through Innovative Service, The 9.5 Principles of Innovative Service, Take Your Breath Away with John Patterson, Managers as Mentors, Building Partnerships for Learning with Marshall Goldsmith, Customers as Partners, Managing Your Socks Off Service with Ron Zemke, and Magnetic Service with Bilijack Bell. He has served as keynote speaker, consultant, and trainer on innovative service to such major organizations as GE, Microsoft, Nationwide, Marriott, Lockheed-Martin, Cadillac, Ultimate Software, KeyBank, Ritz-Carlton Hotels, Caterpillar, Eli Lilly, Verizon, Best Buy, USAA, Hertz, Accenture, Home Depot, and Harley-Davidson. He is a keynote speaker on topics such as customer loyalty, partnering with customers, and creating innovative service experiences. Global Gurus has ranked him for the last 6 years in a row among the top 3 keynote speakers in the world on customer service, with 2 years in the top slot. So without further delay, welcome Chip.
Thank you so much, Yannick. I'm excited about being with you.
Awesome. Okay, Chip, could you share with us a little bit about your journey, how it is that you got into this whole customer service? I mean, your bio speaks so well of all of the, wonderful experiences that you've had and the different organizations that you've worked with across different industries. But just share with us how it is that you got into this and, just how much exposure it has definitely impacted, your exposure has impacted these organizations that you've worked with.
Well, thank you. I have always had a fascination and an interest in the customer. I studied it in graduate school. What makes people buy, what influences customers to make decisions that they do, and how organizations manage that influence, and how do they create cultures that create great experiences. Most of my work has been focused on the customer experience. That is when we encounter a customer, whether it's face-to-face, ear-to-ear, or click-to-click,
right.
How do we use that experience in such a way that it's a memorable experience in a very positive way? So it's been I've been at it for 40 years now. I'm still learning every day, but we're all customers. So it gives me a chance to hopefully influence how that's done through the organizations that I work. Amazing.
All right. So you have written many, many books, and I had the privilege of you sending me a copy of the one that your most recent one, Inside Your Customer's Imagination, 5 Secrets for Creating Breakthrough Products, Services, and Solutions. And I mean, I found it really, really insightful. Could you share maybe 1 to 3 things that you think is really critical for us to get inside our customer's imagination? I mean, that's a big job.
It is, Yannick. You're so right. And I think it starts with recognizing that the customer's imagination is inside. And I like to think of it as a door open only from the inside. So the challenge becomes, how do I create a relationship or a partnership with the customer in such a way that they want to open that door and share their insights, ideas, half-baked, creative thoughts in a way that helps them with us co-create new product, services, and solutions. So the book is really about, how do I build that relationship? How do I build that partnership that creates a sense of excitement and safety and a willingness for the customer to open that door and share their ingenuity and insight and creativity?
All right. And so we really have to dig deep into what the customer is looking for. A big part of when I was reading through some parts of the book, it focused on ensuring that you have curiosity. And I'd like for you to share with us in your own words, what exactly is curiosity, especially in the sense of customer experience? Why should we be curious And how do we exercise that skill?
That's a great question. I think part of it is one of the ways which we demonstrate we really care about the customer. You know, we all go to reunions, family reunions or school reunions, and we always engage in a lot of, we eat too much food and we engage in a lot of superficial conversation. But every now and then, somebody, a family member or a friend, demonstrates that they really are interested in us, and they ask the different kind of questions than just, you still working at, or you still doing thus and so. They really want to know what makes us tick, what do we feel, and what matters to us. And we walk away from those conversations feeling not just heard and understood, but truly valued. So I think part of curiosity is how we demonstrate that deep curiosity. One of the techniques I talk about in the book is called Be the Customer. And I borrowed it from most parents who have children who are in Little League. You know, when that child is at bat and the pitcher's about to throw the ball, they'll to that child, be the ball, mm-hmm. which is all designed to get the kid to focus on that ball coming their way, which increases the likelihood that they'll hitting it. And so I think in much the way, be the ball, be the customer, try to be the customer. Let me give you a fun example. My wife's hairdresser, Johnny Adair, has been known to get a permanent. I said, Johnny, why do you get a permanent? He said, realized that when women get a permanent, it's often one of the most uncomfortable and awkward situations. So if I went through what they went through, that I would see the world through their eyes. And because of that, I've made changes in the experience to make it a more comfortable experience for them. That's, to me, a great example of really working to try to deeply understand the customer. And when the customer senses that sense of quest to understand them at a deeper level, then they feel a sense of kinship with us, a sense of partnership with us. So it's looking for techniques. It might not be just talking to the customer or just doing customer research. It might be talking to people who know the customer in a different way. Let me give you an example, and I use this example in the book. I have a friend of mine, John Longstreet, and John used to be the general manager of a huge hotel in Dallas, Texas. And he realized that he wasn't learning enough about what really was important to our customers through the front desk. Now, if you think about checking into a hotel, when you check out, typically the front desk will say, "How was your stay?" And we usually have a one-word answer, fine. And not much learning is going on from the word fine. So what did he do? He started doing focus groups with the taxi drivers who frequented his property to take guests to the airport, DFW airport. And so every quarter he would hold a focus group. He'd buy these taxi drivers who frequented his property hanging out because it's a nice fare from his hotel to the airport. So a lot of them would hang around to take, now it's, Uber or Lyft, but then it was taxi drivers. And so he would hold focus groups with these taxi drivers. And what he would learn is not just information and understanding, but insights. For example, he learned that when the customer complained to the taxi driver that their towels in their bathroom smelled a little scorched, like they'd been in the dryer too long in housekeeping, what they really were worried about was a hotel fire started in housekeeping or dust bowls under their bed in their room. What they really were concerned about are there bugs in my room? So the goal was not just information that gave you superficial information, like, well, there's a light out in the parking lot, that's so much, but when the customer spotted a security light out in the parking lot that was burned out, they worried about security in their hallway. Well, by taking to that insight level, he was able to make improvements and changes that really impacted customers in a way that they couldn't even describe. That's not something you'd necessarily write on a comment card when you're checking out, but it taught him a lot about what was really going on in the mind of that customer. Well, that's the kind of technique. Who knows my customer? What if I talk to them, not just my customer? What would I learn from that? And so, again, that's part of curiosity, is how we look for ways to demonstrate to the customer that we really, really do are caring. And part of it is how we show them that when they provide us feedback, that it really matters. The research shows 95% of companies in the industrialized world ask their customers for feedback. 95% of them. But only 5% of them let the customer know what they did with that feedback. And so when we get those surveys, it's no wonder that we don't fill them out, because we go, why should I? It's not going to make any difference. And so it's learning to tell the customer, you did this, you asked for this, this is what we're doing with it. And so it tells the customer, you matter, you're important, you're valued. And from that kind of relationship, when you ask them, what's something cool we could do, they can give you creative ideas.
Interesting. There was also a part in the book when that you spoke about as it relates to curiosity, where the company got permission from the customers to watch them shower. I found that so interesting. I was like, watch them shower.
Exactly. I don't know who volunteered to do that, but yeah, it's Moan Revolution. And what they did was they wanted to learn how customers experienced a shower head. And what they found from their research by getting customers to say, let us watch you in the shower and see what you do, and not to invade your privacy, but they found that about 35% of their customers' time is spent avoiding the spray. It gave them the insight they needed to design a different kind of spray that would be that didn't spend so much time avoiding the spray from the shower. I'll give you a similar example. I work with a major hotel chain. Would ask customers when they checked in, if they were a familiar customer or a frequent customer, a guest, they would say, we'll give you a discount on your room rate if you'll let us follow you to your room and watch you unpack.
Yeah.
Now the customer goes, what? But what they really were interested in is they wanted to see how the customer settled into the room. And so what they discovered at that particular time, this is a giant hotel chain, what they discovered is that sometimes customers will bring up their own hair dryer. Well, most of us bring hair dryers. But back then, what you would do is, in order to use your hair dryer, you had to unplug the one that was plugged in the wall. They already provided you a hair dryer, but you like yours because it's hotter or whatever. Well, nobody complained about the fact that you made me unplug your hair dryer to plug mine in, but there's a little irritant. There's a little negative. Or they found that, when a couple checked into a hotel, there was only one luggage cradle in the room for them to put their luggage. So we all know what happens then. He puts his luggage on the floor. Well, there's another little workaround that's a negative, but nobody ever put that on a comment card. Mm-hmm. But you add up enough little workarounds like that, you got a negative experience. The customer can't even talk about it because it's so subtle. By watching the customer, they go, we could fix this. We could provide another receptacle for their own hair dryer, or we could hardwire ours into the wall so the receptacle is available for them to use their own hair dryer. Or every time the couple checks in, we could have housekeeping bring another luggage cradle to the room. All of these are easy fixes, but they're things that the hotel didn't notice or didn't know because they were too subtle for the customer to say anything about it. And we don't notice the things where we live. I mean, we quit seeing the wallpaper a long time ago. And so we take it for granted. We don't see it. And so we're blind to the details the customer sees. So again, it's looking for those ways to say, I want to go deep inside that customer's world and their experience to understand and demonstrate my understanding to that customer so they feel valued.
Amazing. So, just intentional curiosity. Now, in your book, you talk about curiosity, being grounded, discovery. You talk about trust, and you talk about passion. Of those 5 secrets that you believe are breakthrough tactics or strategies in order to really get into your customer's imagination, which one do you think is the most important?
Curiosity. I think it is the foundation. I think it is that's what started with it first. Interesting enough, where these 5 secrets came from was I knew the book was going to be about innovation, innovating with your customers, co-creating with your customers. And so I looked at organizations that we all know famous for innovation. Mm-hmm. And we can all think of, if you ask anybody, who are the most innovative companies that you know? Most of the people will talk about Google or Amazon or Pixar. They'll have names like that. But if you go in those cultures and you say, okay, what do these cultures have in common? You find their cultures are all about curiosity. They're all about grounding or focus. They're all about risk-taking that leads to discovery. They're about trust, and they're about passion. So those are the 5 things that are common among cultures. So I thought, well, what if you took those same 5 features of a innovative culture and applied them to a relationship, in this case, a relationship with a customer? What would that be like? What would that partnership be like? So that's the basis for those 5 secrets to breakthrough products, services, and solutions.
Amazing. Brilliant. Wonderful, Chip. So we're going to have the link.
Fun.
Go ahead.
They're fun things to do. Part of it is, how do you get customers to dream with you? I know your listeners love tactics that they can use and apply. But sometimes we focus on asking customers only about their needs and expectations when the world of the imagination is around the customer's hopes and aspirations. And I'll give you a fun example. I was working with a large pizza delivery company, one worldwide. We all know this pizza company. And I believed, when I started the research, that it was when you talk to lots and lots of customers about this company, that they were going to focus on product, price, and process, meaning your pizza's not very good, or it costs too much, or it takes too long to get it to me. Pizza, price, product, and process. But when we asked dreamer questions, we learned a whole different set of things. For example, a dreamer question is where you ask the customer to think beyond what's now present. For example, one question we would say is like, what's something no pizza company's doing that would be really cool? Well, one of the answers we kept hearing is, what about the pizza box? We said, what? The pizza box. I get a delivered pizza and it's got this box, and I end up having to throw the box away. What would it be like if you did something with the box? Well, like, what would you have in mind? Well, it could be like, a coloring picture, or a puzzle, or it could be a mask you could have for kids to wear a mask. They could just cut it out. And so, sure enough, several years later, I'm working with the paper manufacturer that made pizza boxes for this company. And sure enough, on the inside lid, they had put puzzles or coloring things for kids or various different things, and they put a sheet of wax paper between the lid and the pizza so it didn't soil the inside of the lid, and it turned it in. Well, nobody would have thought of that, but it only get those kind of things when you take your customer into the world and you focus. That's what grounding is all about. You focus on new applications, new solutions, and all of a sudden you get a whole different world. Whole different world.
That's so true. That's really innovative. And that's a good point. I mean, because we really do throw the pizza box away. So why not find something else to do with it that could be more, than just throwing it in the garbage?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the really wise companies look to help, that get their customers to help them. A good example is Starbucks. Starbucks is a very creative company, but they get customers to help them. For example, things like splash sticks that go in your coffee cup lid. Those customers came up with that. Starbucks didn't come up. Cake pops, that looks like a little lollipop, but it's made out of cake. Customers came up with that. Pumpkin spice latte. I find all the stores. These are all things the customer came up with. Company didn't do that.
Nice.
But it means I got to take my customer into an imaginary world with new ideas and new concepts and new applications and help them think with you. And that's why I love the concept of co-creation, is you're not making stuff for the customer or on behalf of the customer. You're doing it with the customer. And so not only do you get their creativity to add to yours and come up with all kind of new stuff, but you're also building the deep loyalty of that customer, because when they got their fingerprints on what you're creating, they feel a commitment to it and their loyalty goes up.
Agreed. All right. So we will definitely have the link to this book in the show notes of this episode for those of you that would like to take greater advantage of the amazing content that Chip has put together for us here. Now, Chip, could you share with us what's the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely can't live without in your business?
Well, I'm going to tell you about two of them. One is I can't live without in my personal life is one called SoundHound. And SoundHound is a great website because how many times do you go in a store and they're playing a music guy? You go in a store and they're playing a song and you go, what's the name of that song? What's the name of that song? Well, SoundHound is an app that allows you to hit that thing and it listens to that song. Not only does it tell you the name of the song, but it also gives you the lyrics. And if you want to buy it, you can buy it right there.
Oh, nice.
So it is for me, it's a great app that I use a lot.
Okay.
In my business life, because I'm a writer, I write a lot of stuff on lots and lots of articles and blogs and so forth. Grammarly has been a godsend because I don't know anything much about the English language from the standpoint of grammar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I did very well on those courses in school. And so Grammarly is a program that allows you to, when you finish writing a blog or a essay or a letter for that, anything, you can simply call the letter inside Grammarly, and it'll bring up and tell you, this is a different way you need to say that, or you've got this misspelled, or this should be an R, not an is, and it'll correct all your grammar, or at least tell you what it sees is wrong and give you the choice of correcting it or not. But it also provides you the rationale. So you get to learn a little bit more about what a dangling participle or a split infinity is and stuff I long forgot. But it's a great tool for me, particularly from a writing standpoint.
Okay, great. So we'll have the links to those two applications, Grammarly and SoundHound. Now, you are an author. You just stated just now that you write a lot of blogs, articles, and I mean, even in the bio that we read about you, you clearly have, written many, many books. So even during your writing journey or even prior to you becoming a writer, could you share with us maybe one or two books that have had the biggest impact on you, maybe books that inspired you to become an even better writer?
Yeah, I think the one I remember that I thought was a powerful book was a book called Watership Down. It's an old book by Richard Adams. And it's a favorite book of mine because it's basically a fiction story of a group of rabbits that get the feeling that they're down, they're warren, where they live is in danger. They don't know why. It turns out it's like a construction crew that's going to come in and build a housing development where they live. And so they have to journey across England to find a new home. And across there is many, many, many adventures and stories that they'll and what it did for me was it's a great story. They actually made a movie of it. But the use of stories, the use of myths, the use of fables in their interaction is, I thought, one of the most creative uses of how they do that. So that's one book that's been an inspiration for me. Another one is a book by my friend Seth Godin called The Purple Cow.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good book.
Great book, and it gives you it's in the marketing category, but it underscores the power of being distinctive, to being different.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very, very creative guy who's written many, many books. But how you will only succeed through your service and product if you find ways to make it unique, different. What I call value unique, not value added.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my world in the customer experience world. Value added is taking what customers expect and add more. The problem with that is you run out of room because the expectations of the customers go right up with you. And so you add more and more and more and more, you're gonna, pretty soon you're going to go bankrupt or run out of room. And so it's like, you're such a great customer of ours, we'd like to upgrade you to the first class, or if you're a frequent flyer. That approach of a linear value-added approach to me has limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So my work is all around value unique, and that is not creating It's not looking at generosity, but ingenuity. What can I do that's unique, that's different, that will surprise the customer in a way they didn't expect it? Value added, usually you aren't shocked by the fact that they upgraded you or added more or comped your dessert. Doesn't shock you. But if you did something that was totally unique, different, all of a sudden you'd be talking about that. And my belief is that the pinnacle, the height of customer loyalty is when the customer tells great stories about you, not just recommends you, but they say, you're not going to believe what happened to me. And they tell a story that's going to have more influence on a prospect than simply a recommendation. And so how do you create the stories? Well, that takes something, unique. My wife has a new car, and she traded in her old car and got a new car. And a week after she had her new car, she turned on the radio for the very first time and discovered they had programmed in her radio stations from her trade-in.
Ingenuity.
And she tells everybody about the radio and not about the car. And so it's little things like that. It's making sure that when you take your car in to be a service and you're going to be waiting for it, they've got in your profile and they've got a Keurig machine or, one of those K-Cup machines that your favorite coffee is there available. So when you have to wait on your car to be serviced, you got hazelnut coffee, which is the one you like. Mm-hmm. It's little things like that personalize the experience. But it's thinking about it. Think about Cracker Jacks in the world of service. Cracker Jacks is a 100-year-old product. And what we loved about Cracker Jacks was not the caramelized molasses-flavored popcorn, but the free prize, which was, financially worthless but emotionally priceless. We knew we were going to get a prize because it said so on the box, but we didn't know exactly what it was going to be. It's that thinking, that concept, supply the world of customer service. Is my world. And Seth's book, The Purple Cow, I thought was a very, very insightful book that was very helpful to me. So those are two I'd recommend.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Could you share with us maybe one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Either something you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
Great. Yeah. Actually, I am. My wife and I'm on the board of the Georgia Writers Museum. I live in the state of Georgia, and we have a writers museum that celebrates famous writers that live in the state, many of whom have all passed on, people like Jimmy Carter and Martin Luther King and folks like that. And I'm on the board of that museum, and so I get to serve as sort of the museum curator to design new exhibits. And so that's a fun thing for me to do. The other thing in terms of my work is I stumbled onto a new concept called Anticipatory Innovation. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm developing a whole new body of work around anticipatory innovation. And what that is well, let me give you an example, and then I come back and describe it. When my wife and I stayed in a Hampton Inn, they provide you a coffee pot and they provide you paper cups. Now, if you happen to be in a situation where you and your significant other both fix your coffee the same way, and you've fixed a cup in the room and they got the paper cups in the room for you to use, invariably you're going to run into a situation where you go, is this my cup or yours? Mm-hmm. And so what they did is they put on the front of the cup, on one cup, they put lips, like somebody put lipstick on and kissed it. Mm-hmm. And on the other one, they all put a mustache. And so it's very clever, but it fixes a situation that you encounter. They go, oh, I know this one's mine because it's got the lips on it, or it's got the mustache on it. But it's that kind of little, you anticipate you're going to encounter. Another example. Tampa Airport, the rental car, where they put all the rental cars is inside the parking deck. Well, the first thing you do when you get inside a rental car is you're going to set your GPS. The problem is there's no internet inside that structure. So what did they do? As soon as you exit the parking deck, there is a GPS pullover and a little parking slot you can pull in that does have GPS, that does have internet, Wi-Fi, so you can set your GPS before you actually leave the parking lot. But they thought about that. They thought about ahead and say, what's a little problem or a challenge or a hiccup that a customer may encounter that we can anticipate and provide an easy fix before they get to that hiccup. And so that's that's a whole new world. I call it anticipatory innovation, and it's not been done much research around it. Nobody's written much about it. I've written recently an article for Forbes that's called "Is your coffee cup, is your cup a boy cup or a girl cup?" But it's little things like that now that's a whole world I'm now researching to try to create a whole new body of work around. So in my business life, that's kind of what I'm working on.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So our listeners listened to this podcast and they were extremely excited about your book that you've written, the one that we shared earlier, and also about this new research that you're going to be doing. Where can they find you online if they'd like to connect with you more?
Easy. ChipBell.com is my website. And on the contact page of my website, you can find every conceivable way to get a hold of me. Don't make people fill out a form to reach me. So you can find on that contact page my email address, phone number, mailing address. Any way you need to reach me is on the contact page of ChipBell.com.
All right. Brilliant. Okay, Chip. So before we wrap our interviews up, we always like to ask our guests, do you have a quote or saying that during times of adversity, you'll tend to revert to this quote? It kind of helps to get you back on track or to get you more focused. Do you have one of those?
I do. Give to the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you.
Nice. All right. Very good. Okay, well, thank you so much, Chip, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to hang out with us today and share all these great nuggets about getting into your customer's imagination and, anticipatory innovation, really exciting new ways to explore customer experience and to try and find ways to give the customers what they want, not what you think they want.
That's great. And you have such a beautiful country. I always love coming to Jamaica. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It is. When the sun is shining, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
All right. So, guys, just want to remind you, you can log on to Facebook and join our Facebook group. It's Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And feel free to follow us on Twitter. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant. Thank you for listening to Navigating the Customer Experience. If you'd like to connect with us even more, please feel free to hop onto Facebook and join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And of course, feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. We also have a new book available on Amazon, The ABCs of a Fantastic Customer Experience. It's available in ebook and paperback. So if you want to increase revenue in your organization, build a stronger service culture, and create employees or develop employees who are really mastering service delivery in your business, you need to grab a copy of this book. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.